Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
There are no such things as miracles, for all is according to law, and the result of the application of laws to which mankind's present consciousness is unaccustomed. Please continue watching for the revealed spiritual mysteries by Ascended Master Saint Germain, Vegetarian, as recorded by Guy W. Ballard.
Wie geht es Ihnen? These are the words you would be greeted with in beautiful Liechtenstein. They translate to "How are you?" in German, the official language of the country. Caring viewers, I'm Erik. The harmonious people of Liechtenstein send you best wishes and warm accolades for choosing to live with the awareness of the God nature of all living things. May you stay in heaven's protection. Welcome to the Master's Radiation, from the Unveiled Mysteries by the Ascended Master Saint Germain, Vegetarian, Part 2 of 2 on Words of Wisdom. Guy Warren Ballard was a United States mining engineer and co-founder, together with his wife Edna and Wheeler Ballard, of the I Am spiritual movement, inspired by his life-changing meeting with the Ascended Master Saint Germain. One morning in 1930, Mr. Ballard, led subconsciously by his inner spiritual longing, went on a hike on beautiful Mount Shasta, located in the western US, where, according to legend, a group of divine adepts reside, or could be seen. His sincerity and deep longing for the truth led to a profound experience that day. He was blessed by the appearance of the beloved Master Saint Germain. Following this enlightening encounter, Mr. Ballard devoted his life to spreading the Master's wisdom according to his capacity. From Master Saint Germain's dictation and teachings, Mr. Ballard wrote a series of books under the pseudonym Godfrey Ray King. Master Saint Germain's imparted spiritual knowledge was the basis for many lectures given by Mr. Ballard, as well as for the founding of the I Am religious activity in the early 1930s. By 1938 it had up to 1 million followers. Today, the volumes documenting the precious mysteries revealed by the Ascended Master to Godfrey Ray King are still a fascinating spiritual gem for many across the globe. The three most famous volumes are titled Unveiled Mysteries, The Magic Presence, and the I Am Discourses. Ascended Master Saint Germain is deeply venerated among the Theosophical Society as he represents the establishment of the Aquarian Age, an era that we are privileged to be witnessing. He is also identified with the Count of Saint-Germain, a mysterious European figure who possessed a great inner knowledge and was called immortal by some due to his everlasting youth. We will now continue with the reading of the mind-broadening and graciously revealed knowledge by the Ascended Master Saint-Germain, as recorded in Guy Warren Ballard's or Godfrey Ray King's book Unveiled Mysteries. We'll learn more about projected consciousness and the role of an Ascended Master's radiation. Excerpt from Chapter 2, The Sahara Desert. Projected consciousness is but increasing the rate of vibration of the atomic structure in both the mind and body of the student. This is done by the radiation from an Ascended Master, and is an activity of the light which increases the vibratory rate up to the keynote he sets for the experience. In the higher rate, one uses his faculties of sight and hearing exactly as he does in daily life, except that they are expanded into the next octave or zone above the human. Such use of our senses is the same as we experience every moment of the waking state, because we can become aware of that which is near and that which is distant at exactly the same instant. The expansion or contraction of our consciousness is dependent entirely upon what the individual desires. This is always subject to the free will and conscious direction of the student. One can, of his own choice, be conscious of a certain tree in his garden or of the entire garden. He uses the same faculty of sight to observe both, and uses it in exactly the same way. When he wants to see all of the garden, he makes his sight enlarge its activity until it takes in all he desires. The larger expansion still includes the smaller, so you see, you must be conscious of the full control of all your faculties in both places at the same time. The activity that takes place is really an enlargement of the force field in which the sight acts. The use of your faculty of sight in this projection or expansion of consciousness is accomplished by the raising of the vibratory rate in the optic nerve. The whole process corresponds to the thing that takes place when one uses a field or marine glass. In ordinary experience, human consciousness has been accustomed to use its faculties only within certain zones or force fields, and the proof of this is that one can listen to the sound of a person's voice who is physically present in the room speaking to him, and he can also hear the bell of a telephone ring somewhere else in the house at identically the same instant. All the faculties of the outer activity are elastic. They may be used as either a microscope or a telescope, depending entirely upon the desire and will of the individual. If he can be conscious of sound in the room in which his physical body stands, and also be aware of sound 2 or 3 rooms distant by exactly the same process, in a still farther expansion of this faculty, he can hear at a more distant place. To do this, one must increase the vibratory rate until it reaches into the more distant zone. When you contemplate this great inner God activity, do you not see how perfectly and readily the outer senses merge into the inner, and what has been two becomes one? This activity of consciousness can be applied to all the other senses, as well as those of sight and hearing. Such a raising process is natural, normal and harmonious, as simple as the tuning of your radios to any desired wavelength. Radio wavelengths and those of sight and hearing are parts of the same activity. Sound contains color and color contains sound. In ordinary daily experience, human beings can hear color and see sound whenever they become still enough. Within certain octaves or zones, vibration registers upon the nerves of the eyes, and the result is what we call sight. Others register upon the nerves of the ears, and the result is what we call hearing. The average person's eyes only see objects whose vibratory rate comes within these certain octaves, for they do not see below the infrared or above the ultraviolet ray or zone. Through the radiation of an ascended master, the atomic structure of the brain and eye vibrates fast enough to expand into the next octave above the human. This same activity can be expanded several octaves farther, either by the master's radiation or at the command of the inner or God self of the individual. Many persons do have such experiences involuntarily, but rarely understand what they mean or how they come about. In cases where individuals have had moments of transcendent consciousness or been highly inspired, this is what has occurred, although they seldom recognize the assistance they have been given. Projected consciousness or vision has nothing whatsoever to do with mental pictures produced by suggestions that exist only in the minds of other human beings. Such thoughts and pictures are but flashed directly into the mind of another person by the one sending the suggestion. It is the same activity that takes place when one reflects the image of the sun into a mirror and then deflects it upon the wall. Suggestion is as different from projected consciousness as thinking about a place is different from being physically present. Projection is vivid living real, as when your physical body is going through an experience, for it is the action of your inner God self with whom the ascended master is one, the Supreme. Saint-Germain and I then became observers and actors in a scene of long ago. Again, I was outwardly conscious of going through experiences shown me in thought, feeling and action. The entire operation was as natural and normal as breathing, and the only unusual sensation about it was the feeling of greater freedom and a sense of dominion. We both became very still for a few moments as he revivified the etheric records and my instruction began. "This is the Sahara Desert," he said, when it was fertile country having a semi-tropical climate. There were many streams of water carrying abundant moisture everywhere in the land. In the midst of this empire lay the capital, famous throughout the world for its splendor. The executive buildings were placed in the center upon a slight elevation, and from these the city itself extended equally in every direction. This civilization, he went on, rose to its apex 70,000 years ago. We entered the city and felt an unusual rhythmic activity that gave one a strange sensation of lightness while walking. The people all moved about with great ease and grace. I asked Saint-Germain the reason for this, and he replied, "These people remembered their source and knew themselves as sons of God. Hence were the possessors and operators of power and wisdom that to you may seem miraculous and superhuman. Truthfully speaking, there are no such things as miracles, for all is according to law, and that which seems miraculous to the present concept of humanity is but the result of the application of laws to which mankind's present consciousness is unaccustomed, and so seems strange and unusual. When the reality of life is correctly understood, all manifestation that seems miraculous to your present consciousness is found to be just as natural and normal an experience as the forming of words are to the one who has learned the use of the alphabet. It is all but the action of an ever-expanding, ever-progressing manifestation of life in form, and that comes about at all times through an orderly process of law in love and peace. No matter how strange, unusual and impossible an experience seems to humanity's present mental state, it is no proof that there is not a greater law and a wiser intelligence acting to produce greater wonders of creation and surrounding us all the time. The knowledge of the greatest minds of humanity in the outer world today is to this great in a wisdom and power as the understanding of a small child is to the study of calculus. For more information on the Ascended Master Saint-Germain, the I Am teachings and Godfrey Ray King's books, please visit saintgermainfoundation.org. Giving viewers, it was an honor to have your company for today's program entitled The Master's Radiation, from the Unveiled Mysteries by the Ascended Master Saint-Germain, Vegetarian, Part 2 of 2 on Words of Wisdom. Coming up next is Art in a Pandemic, Part 1 of 2, right after noteworthy news. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television for more uplifting programming. May you awaken to the wonders and miracles that surround us by remembering your source in God's grace.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule et suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule y suprememastertv.com/WOW.
I nostri programmi sono offerti in molte lingue. Consultate suprememastertv.com/schedule e suprememastertv.com/WOW